So now, just the way I did with Gordon, now this is something I did with your leg this week, okay? Now I'm still looking at the same thing of how his shoulder comes off the ground, right? But when I did that, the fulcrum point on his arm is off. So in other words, my hand is right here, so a fulcrum, just like a lever, seesaw.
Right.
Not everybody knows what a fulcrum is, but you know, you can change the fulcrum points just like you can change it on the arm. I'm looking for the blue ball. That's the deflated one. I thought it was in the shelves in my other treatment room.
I was going to say grab for me.
So just by putting my hand underneath this, I can feel in my mind that his elbow's way too heavy.
Right.
So his fulcrum's off here, thanks. So that's where my brain goes, well, I got to deal with that first, because if his leverage point is off for the arm, which happens if he had a big growth spurt, he injured himself, there's lots of things that could have happened going on, I've got to work with that first. That's why it's really hard when people go, if you're doing a movement lesson, you go, what do you do?
Right.
Well, I'm trying to teach you guys how to be chefs. Anybody can cook. But what problem is, if I teach you recipes, at one point you're going to be out of chocolate chip cookies and you're like, I can't make cookies. A chef goes, well, we can do nuts, we can do snickerdoodles, we can do, as long as you have the foundations of a cookie. They're still here, Gordon. As long as you have a good foundation in cooking or whatever, most people should be able to open up a refrigerator and make a meal. Most people can't, because they're so used to being taught X, Y, Z. But when that happens, if you're out of an ingredient, or what if he's got pins now in his shoulders? I don't want someone to go, well, I didn't learn that. So like right now, I'm working with a guy who shattered his arm in 9 places from here to here. So he's got a big plate in his arm plus.
Please don't do that to
My
me.
friend broke his elbow in 3 parts, here to here.
That's not fun.
Because he was playing
I
soccer
think
and
it'd
someone
be fun.
fell and put the force on his arm like that.
And the force one. So all I'm
May
doing
the
here
force
is
be
I
with
changed
you.
the fulcrum point with my hands. So I went from here to here. Now I know he'll probably have it, but I'm getting the elbow to cross that midline, and then there. So now it's back in. So now if I come underneath here, see already now the difference that I can get underneath his arm. So if you don't feel that you're getting access to something, take a second, back off and go, what's up, you know? Now because he's bigger, I might prop differently, because I don't want to, let's say, hold his arm, because he's a grown boy, man, whatever, he's getting there. So I might do something like this.
I got the body of a man, but I got the mind of a...
You have a mind?
I know, right? I'm surprised.
So here, I'm just using now the ball to bring his shoulder up.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Well, at least you're using your balls up.
If he had to worry about where he was in space, then he's going to start using muscles. The whole point of getting more out of him is I want the muscles just to take a break. I'm not saying again, I'm never going to use a muscle to lift my arm up. I know you use muscles, but is it the most efficient way of doing it? But also I like the balls because now I get roll out of him. If this was a square, then I would get more of a lift. I always go for that rotation. So now in here, I'm going to go back up into his, almost like I'm doing his neck, but my hand, I'm doing this with the movement. So now that I have access to the shoulder, I'm going to start bringing it down, and I've got to change my leverage over the conversation. Shelly, I'm sorry, Shelly, Jane, this is my mom, this is Shelly.
Yes,
Okay.
we had pizza together last year too. That's how I know your whole family is over pizza.
We had pizza.
Yeah, I remember we went to her husband was a vegetarian, we were at Grande Pizza.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Okay.
So now again, I can just,
Thought you looked familiar.
it's Facebook. But see, if I didn't have this ball here, just look at the difference. For me to have to hold his arm,
Yeah. Oh,
it's not much, but see, now he's got his hand moving around, or I have to worry about the length of him. Again, it's just a tool if you want to use it.
Well, it's
But allows me to
great
just
for bigger
concentrate.
people, though.
Yeah. Like your husband, you know what I
Right,
mean?
that'd
Like
be great with him.
he's got monkey arms.
I took
Right.
home the egg when I was working on it. It really was like amazing.
But now I could do more here where I'm taking his wrist. But see, with this, I can feel where I would have to work on his upper arm because the way he's weighted still way too heavy. But I'm still going to come here as just another way of. What's neat now of him, I can just about do it where it should be just like a pendulum. Any body part that I have, I should be able to just, in a sense, hang it, like a relationship to gravity. So I'm not shaking it,
Okay.
but if you look at his elbow, see I can do this. It should react like a pendulum in space. Again, I counter, he counters. My wrist here, it's just faster. But if I just took this arm right now, that'll be
Got to go over the
yeah, you
arms.
could get to play with Gordon. If I just take this, see, the wrist is going, but I don't have the same. But same thing, I take his arm. He helped me a little bit.
Well, he's also bigger.
Yeah, but still. I'm gonna take the mirror out so he doesn't crack it like he does at home. Couldn't resist. See? Even though he
Again,
wants
still
to
can't
help
see the
me.
lie.
Even though he wants to help, yeah.
Okay, who wants to pull Gordon's arm? Don't pull his finger, it's dangerous. Just the arm.
Exactly.
Now again, I didn't work on him as long, but he still is
No, it's
showing
totally different,
much
though.
this.
Can't get his hip over at all.
Right.
It's not about you.
Well,
He can't
yeah,
get his
he
hip
can.
over.
Yeah.
He should get, like a baby, should just be responding to your stimulus. When you work with someone, it's no different than a baby or a child or anybody playing with a ball. So he's got a certain response to stimuli. In this case, it just happens to be your touch and how you're pulling him.
But as soon as I grab this arm, you can already tell it's lighter before you start to pull.
When you
Right.
lift it up.
Well, that's the whole thing. People go, well, how do you know? Like, why don't you ask people their history? I can just touch someone and know where I'm going
So
with it.
this was heavy, because she knew right away with Jesse's arm that this
Yeah.
one was way heavy.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's where he had the cast.
But I also knew, I said,
I
he
was gonna
can't,
say
he
this.
can't comb his hair because he could only get his hand to here.
Right.
And she's like, how did you know that? Like, that's where people think I'm
My
psychic.
hair's
but it's
stubborn
like,
and it won't let me
if
comb
I
my hair,
can't
but-
lift your arm past here, how are you gonna do it?
Right.
So, you're done. No, stand up. I want to see what your arms are doing.
let Holly have the chair. You sit
Oh,
there.
I like this. Yeah, it's
So just stand there. So, no, just stand. Just stand. Stand. Let them see the pendulum though, but also see how the arm length is different, the shoulders. But anyway, now you can flop around like a doll.
It's like half an inch.
Can you do that on me so I know what
Here.
he is?
Well, I'm going to do it to all of you.
Oh, you are?
Even that I
Okay.
can feel the difference.
See? You don't need your arms to jump.
Right.
Most people do.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you've got to work on landing. Like, I need you to, I'm just going to sacrifice.
The Newborn Movement Assessment Guide is available at Amazon.com and at the newbornmovementassessment.com website. Out of necessity to help a globally delayed child, Michelle Turner, Movement Integration Specialist, created Movement Lesson to benefit children throughout the world.